Hey guys, JJ here, and today I have potentially our first details on the upcoming Resident Evil 1 remake, including the return of Crimson Head's third-person camera, expansion of the lore, and much more. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Last week, news broke of a potential remake of Resident Evil 1 again for the upcoming 30th anniversary of the Resident Evil series that'll take place in 2026. Now, this news has not yet been confirmed by Capcom, but it didn't take long before every gaming news outlet picked up on the potential leak and the fans began debating if another remake of Resident Evil 1 was necessary. Well, it didn't take long before we got our first details on the upcoming Resident Evil 1 remake. This news comes from our good friend Andy over at Biohazard Declassified, who claims an old contact reached out to him shortly after the news broke. Now, while I can't confirm the validity of this leak or this contact, I will say that Andy does have some reliable sources. So when I hear it from him, I tend to give it a little more credibility. With that being said, everything you are about to hear is still currently a rumor and should be taken with a grain of salt until proven by Capcom. Regardless, I think these rumors create a good discussion and get the Resident Evil hype train rolling once again. So if you enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe for all the latest Resident Evil news, leaks, and rumors. Alright, let's get into it. The current working title is Resident Evil 1 or Biohazard RE1. Now let's move on to the gameplay. Resident Evil 1 Remake will be slower paced than the Resident Evil 2 Remake. This is interesting for a few reasons. The controls in the modern Resident Evil remakes have progressively got quicker and snappier to deal with the more action-focused gameplay. For example, the quick dodge in the Resident Evil 3 Remake or the parry system in the Resident Evil 4 Remake. It seems as though Capcom wants to focus more on the survival horror aspect of the game, and having heavier, more realistic movement of the character really takes the series back to its roots. I'm all for it. The remake will feature a different third-person camera. This is most likely the over-the-shoulder camera we've seen in Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remakes, which makes sense. This seems to be the modern camera perspective of choice. What doesn't make sense is that it's referred to a different third-person camera perspective. It almost makes me wonder if we'll get a mashup between dynamic fixed camera angles and the over-the-shoulder. That would be interesting. A good example of what I'm referring to is Until Dawn. If you played it, you'll know. Moving on now to the environment. No more pre-rendered backgrounds. Each room will load up background assets and the rest of the assets will load when the doors are opened. This is to improve visuals and lighting. In my opinion, the pre-rendered backgrounds of the original Resident Evil 1 remake still hold up. So to see that fully redone as a 3D environment in the new REX engine would be incredible. With fully 3D environments, there's always a chance Capcom could add a bonus mode similar to Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 remake that allows you to explore the Spencer Mansion in VR. That would be amazing. Moving on now to the enemies, each zombie will now have their own unique model due to the smaller numbers of enemies in the game. I really like the sound of this. Having a variation of all the zombies adds much more to the realism of the game. Unfortunately though, due to the lower amount of enemies, more bullets will be required to take out zombies than in the Resident Evil 2 remake. They're quoted as bullet sponges. If less zombies will be featured in the game, it makes sense that their difficulty would be increased, but by making them more spongy seems cheap to me. I'd rather just more enemies. I don't know, what do you guys think? Now this one I am really excited for. Crimson Head zombies will return. This is fantastic news. Crimson Head zombies were added into the original remake of Resident Evil 1 and have since moved away from the mainline games in the series. Crimson Heads brought so much more tension to the game and added an all-new way to play. It was a nice change from the original that added to the horror experience. I'm glad they'll not be forgotten. Lastly, the lore will be explored further. While I think of the current Resident Evil 1 remake, I admit there's some inconsistencies in the story. For example, at no point does Rebecca mention her experience in Resident Evil 0. Also, both Barry and Rebecca don't have a canon ending where they both survive, even though they're still alive in the future of the series. Exploring on the lore further could fix these inconsistencies and align better with the modern RE Engine Resident Evil remakes. It could also potentially set up a Resident Evil 0 remake, but now we're getting ahead of ourselves. So there you you have it for our first potential details on the upcoming Resident Evil 1 remake. Overall, I really like what I'm hearing. It's going to be exciting what the future holds for the Resident Evil series, and I'm looking forward to it. But now I'm curious to know your thoughts. Are you excited for a Resident Evil 1 remake again? What do you think of what we discussed in this video? What features, changes, or alterations would you like to see? Let us know down below in the comments, and let's have a discussion about it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and for all the latest Resident Evil news, leaks, rumors, and discussions, make sure to subscribe. The Residents of Evil is a Patreon supported channel and also supported by our YouTube members. So if you'd like to become a member and unlock access to custom badges, emojis, and exclusive live streams, click that join button down below. You can join our survival horror community on Discord, link will be in the description, and I have the Duke here to tell you a little about our sponsor, G Fuel.
Do you have need of anything for the road ahead? The Residents of Evil has expanded its services. Perhaps you're in need of a little pick-me-up. I recommend the G Fuel. You can even get a fair discount if you use the code ROE upon purchase. And as always, we thank you for your patronage, stranger.
As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope to see you back at the Residents of Evil.